Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sanaul Haq, and today we have a special guest. His name is Niklas Kruki. He is the managing partner and lead behavioral scientist at Colcrane Behavioral Insights, Helsinki, OY. Niklas actually founded the Colcrane with the aim of improving how organizations apply academic, behavioral, and data science research for business and societal impact. He has been working in the industry at the same time. He's also doing his doctoral study at the University of Vaasa. He has previously founded two B2C startups. You can get to know more about him. Just Google his name on the internet and you'll find a lot of information. So welcome, Niklas Kurki.
Thank you very much. Really nice to be here.
And thank you that you are joining us in person at the Lappeenranta campus, LUT University. And this course and this lecture is sponsored by the Dept of Software Engineering, LUT University. Niklas today will be giving us a special speech on data-driven user-centricity that is connected stakeholder lifeline value or customer lifeline value. So when you think about a solution or some systems in your mind that you are planning to implement or even running, how can you connect the key stakeholders? Thank you, Niklas. So we are sharing your screen. Just 1 second, please. Sound share. Just checking. Yeah, it's there. Thank you again, Niklas. The floor is yours.
So thank you, everyone. Really nice to be here. So I'm really thrilled about kind of the focus of your course so far. You've been discussing different stakeholders when you talk about solutions, products, and a little bit about sustainability. And I thought that it would be interesting to put some numbers on it. That what does it actually mean to be user-centric? From a data perspective. So this is connected to what I do a lot in my work. So I'm the managing partner, founding partner, and lead behavioral scientist at Colcrane Behavioral Analytics. And what we do is basically all the transactions that happen in a solution, product, or platform. We basically analyze that in a systematic way. So behavioral transaction data. You can think about Netflix, you can think about a dating platform, you can think about whatever solution, that we have a user ID and that we can track over time what they are doing. So panel data, basically. And so we specialize in this. I'm also a doctoral researcher at University of Vaasa. I'm at the marketing department, but my focus is in behavioral economics. So applying psychology and economic theory to basically understand and predict behavior. And previously, I was working at Microsoft in their cloud computing division. I mostly learned a lot from SaaS companies over there. So we were working with a lot of healthcare SaaS companies, and a lot of it has to do with the users and subscribers of their solutions. So that kind of brought into this. And how can we have like a systematic way of approaching this, basically? But okay, so here is my beloved user cube, you could call it. So we have the user, we have time, and we have the product. Can be whatever solution. And if you think about industry, most of it's about the product. So we are looking at the performance of some solution or some product or some line. But if you want to be user-centric, we basically do the same, but we do it for users. So how are users performing or behaving over time? And this focus, of course, if you're in the gaming space, gaming companies are really good at understanding their user behavior. But you might be in a subscription business, or you can be whatever solution, public transport or whatever, and we can't actually track the customer or the user in the individual level. So it's also a culture thing. How do we rewire our thinking towards this? So basically, because whatever activity we are doing, we can basically understand it through the product or the solution that we have on the top level. So, okay, so what kind of usage, revenue, or profit does some product or solution bring to us? But we can basically do the same with the users. So getting kind of the leadership and the designers and developers to thinking in this way is paramount. So just an example of this kind of what is happening. And of course, in US, most things are big and most things happen prior to happening in Europe. So here we have Netflix. This is from April of 2022. They lost 35% of their stock price in one day. And it was $50 billion of loss. So what happened on that one day? It was not that some new series was a flop. Here's just a little bit more of actually showing what a crash it was for Netflix on that day, April 20. So what actually happened was that they lost 200,000 subscribers. And it was the first day in 10 years. First time in 10 years that they lost subscribers. 10 years, first quarter lost subscribers. And I counted a little bit about it, made some math. It was 0.09% of their total subscription base. 0.09. And this was the effect on the stock. So talk about user-centric company, right? Okay. So this was just kind of to introduce yourself how important this is for like the biggest companies in the world. What actually happens with the user. And so what I'm going to propose here today is a systematic way of you, if you have your solution, if you're in a company, how do you understand systematically the user base? So if you have users, it can be 100,000, 10,000, millions of users. So how do we kind of analyze that data to kind of get sense of what we should be doing? Okay? And then I will apply it to a dating platform example, and then we will talk about the food delivery company, the biggest in the world. Or it was before it. I won't tell you what happened. You will see what happened. Okay? So what we've been discussing today is based on the research of these three professors. So we have Peter Fader, Dan McCarthy, Bruce Hardy, Wharton, Maryland, and London Business School. These are both in the marketing department. And they basically help likes of Netflix of understanding their churn or understanding their users of what are they actually doing. So these are the world leaders on that stage, and I happily can say that I have met them and discussed with them a lot. So mentors of mine, you could say. Okay, so let's get a little bit under the hood. So let's say we have a customer base or a user base. We have 10,000 users. Let's say it's a public transport, whatever. And what we first do is we have these 5 lenses and we apply them to the customer. So the first lens looks at all users during a particular period. It can be a week, it can be a year, it can be a month. Okay? And then we look at, okay, so how do they differ, the users during this particular period? Then we compare these two periods. We could compare 2022, 2021, and so forth. Then we do cohorts. So a cohort could be all users that started to using your solution at the same time in a particular period. Let's say during 2019. And then we compare it to another cohort, and then we put everything together. So when we do the first lens, this is always what we see. It doesn't matter if it's a public transport company, it's an e-commerce platform, it's a dating platform, it's whatever. Most users don't do nothing. and they don't bring any value. And we have this one decile of users who do everything. It's 10% of all of your users. So if Netflix has 200 million users, 20 million. It's going to look like that. And this is, we have done this with B2B, B2C. Always looks like this. And then when you apply the second lens, you compare it to another period, you see that the distribution is the same. So we have a lot of users to the left and few users to the right. But then actually the usage or spend or whatever metric we have is higher. But depending on the platform, it can be that it's totally different users. Of course, if you're on Netflix, it's probably going to be the same users. But let's say you're an e-com platform, like a Tori.fi, maybe you have used it sometimes. Might be more of that actually you're changing your users every year, even though the distribution looks the same. And then the cohort. Okay, so when everyone joins, to the left you can see then everyone is active when they join. So you make your first purchase or you download an app, everyone is active, but then most of your users will never come back. They will away. And then finally the fifth lens. So this is how our user base often looks. You have new users and you have old users. And then for every year, you will drop away users. And you will come. How healthy this dynamic is depends on, or will tell how kind of successful you are. So if you think about the Netflix example, they had just a few users dropping, and it was still bad for them. Because it seems that... okay, but hey, let's dive into a more of a real case. So we can go forward here. So I was an advisor to a dating platform. This is not exactly the data, but I have kind of simulated the data, so it looks like how it did on the dating platform. So if we go forward, so this is what it looks like. They had 546,800 users, daters, and most of them didn't do nothing. They downloaded the app and they didn't do nothing. We have the mean usage was 411, so the usage here is the session frequency and session duration, and then we have the interaction rate. So let's say you swipe, it's better than doing something else. Whatever. This doesn't really matter. It's more about understanding what a user-based distribution looks like. So there is no average user. You can't say that an average user does this and that, because this looks like this. So 75% use less the platform than mean. So then the mean doesn't exist, right? So you have to be very specific of what user are we actually talking about, whose problem are we solving when we're building the solution. So I was thinking, if you want, do you have any ideas? Why are these distributions so skewed? Like, why are there so many users that are kind of dormant?
Not interactive enough?
Sorry?
The application is not interactive enough, or it's not engaging enough?
No, that's a good idea. Yeah. Do you have any idea?
Solution is more aligned with a small part of the customer's needs.
Can I say something?
Yeah, everyone.
So the first answer could be, I was so excited with the new thing because people are tend to be more excited if they are finding something new. So they might be finding, oh, this is a new thing, so let's work on that. Let's try this. with the advertising and the marketing, something like that. And then after that, they're feeling sort of the same thing. You're eating the same food every day. That could be one thing. And the second thing could be the sense of connectivity. So you don't feel like the other people, you're not getting positive feedback from others or by yourself. You don't feel that much connected within the system, something like that.
I think you're all on the right track. And I think just putting it kind of in a simple terms, most people don't care. They don't care about you or your solution. Might be as good, solve everything, still don't care. There's a lot of people don't use ChatGPT. A lot of people. And I can promise you, this hand, no, not this hand, the left hand, I'm right hand. The left hand, I can promise you, the distribution is the same with ChatGPT, right? It's going to be the same. They try it, never. So it's almost like a law, you know? It's called the Pareto law, basically. The classic. 20% of doing some input, you need 8% of that, right? So in user base, quite similar actually. So yeah, but let's continue. And we can dive deeper. And this is what we often do, is that we kind of break it down into smaller pieces. So when we actually zoom in on these deciles, what does it look like? So here we can see that 48% of the usage comes from just 10% of the users. And also the average session duration and average user frequency. So, and this is it's almost the same, always the same. These numbers are different, but the distributions are the same. Okay? So, okay, so question, let's discuss, and we can take back the deciles. Who are we designing for? And how can we increase, like who should we increase if you want to increase usage or want something use, some new feature, who should we focus on? Like who are we designing for here? We can put back the deciles if we go back, just to have a look at it. Who are we designing for?
Payers.
Sorry?
Payers.
The payers. Okay, those are who are paying. So you mean the decile 1 or 2? Do you have any idea?
I think I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
I was using the Grammarly free version.
Yeah.
But then I was really enjoying it, so I bought the paid version.
Yes.
But now the price has gone up, so I'm just looking for the discounted one so that I can buy it. So it means I was using the free version, but I was sort of liking it. Has become a habit of mine. So I would say Grammarly was using these tactics, maybe something like that.
In which decile do you find yourself in Grammarly, do you think?
In Grammarly, I would say number 3, not number 1, definitely. Number 3 or number 2.
Okay. So basically they could move you up the ranks if they would alter the design or make some...
Reduce the price.
Yeah, reduce the price. But how much is it actually the solution in itself, like the features or something like that? Like if we could find out what feature or solution or that could move someone up in the we would be interested in it, right? To find out what kind of. So then we need to be user-centric to kind of, okay, so what actually could move someone from being in a lower decile to the next? So what is the feature? Is there some feature that could help? Or even, could we actually find new users that is not in the user base, not in this 500,000 of users? Can we find someone and directly put them in the decile 1? So let's say Netflix would come up with some new, let's say they would have games. Yeah, they would offer games. Could we get some new decile 1 or 2 users? Perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My mom has been using YouTube after the COVID because she's a retired school teacher.
Yeah.
And now I'm planning to buy a premium version for her.
Okay.
So
you can help her. You're helping the company to get perhaps decile 3 or 4
maybe,
users.
yes, yeah. She doesn't know how to use the Netflix. It's a complex thing, but she's familiar with the YouTube.
Yeah.
And I also then have come up with some of the her peers. They're using some YouTube videos like the serials and some to spend the time actually.
Exactly, and that's good. Good example. But yeah, we can go. I can. Yeah. So, and this was the 2 years. Looks quite the same, right? A little bit less users, and quite a lot of churn, right? Because those that were active in 2 years are just around 300,000. So the distribution is the same, quite always, but who actually are active there is the difference. And how good are those that are active users of your solution? Okay, but we can skip this because I think it was kind of... Okay, so let's have another case. Has anyone heard of Blue Apron? Okay, so Blue Apron was, I think in 2017, it was still the biggest food delivery, meal kit company in the US. You can go forward. So here you can see Blue Apron. In the US in 2016, about 53% of the market share in meal kits. So basically they send a package of different ingredients and then you can cook at home. And then they, of course, were a competitor, HelloFresh. I think you have heard a commercial of HelloFresh, right? It might tell you something that you have heard about HelloFresh, but not about Blue Apron, right? It sounds a little bit strange. You have heard about HelloFresh. So, okay, so what happened? Blue Apron did their IPO, so they got on the stock exchange, 2017. And then 2 years later, they were sold on a few cents, right? So what happened? Was it something to do with users, maybe? Maybe it was something to do with users, not only about users, but let's make the case that it was about the users. So what you see here is the retention curve of Blue Apron. And the access to this has got from credit card data in the US. So here you can see the retention curve. In the first, when customers came, 100% were retained, of course, because this cohort of customers started to using it. So then everyone is active. Just 12 weeks later, about 20% were still retained. And this is, of course, a subscription kind of thing. Just to subscribe to these meal kits that come home. So it's a subscription business, and 12 weeks later, 20%. So. Okay, but let's a bit talk about data science a little bit. Okay, so the red line here is their own internal prediction of the retention curve. Right? So it's what they thought it was all around, right? And you see A, B, like the green and the yellow, it was kind of what they missed. Like what spaces of value they kind of missed for usage, basically. So basically what they did, that they overvalued, the prediction model overvalued the retention of their low loyal customers and undervalued those that were still present 12 weeks later. Months. It's months. 12 months later, right? So they thought that, okay, those that will come in, they're better than they are, and those that we have still, when everything has gone off, they are worse. It's okay. So what should they have? What should Blue Apron have done instead? So here is one suggestion. They should have divided their user base into one high loyalty segment and then one low loyalty segment. And if they had merged this into a predictive model that kind of, takes these two segments and put it together, you see that the predicted retention curve would be exactly right. And then then they would have, valued more of those top 1 decile users, right? And they were spent less trying to acquire those low decile users. And so that's one example of it helps to be user-centric. But I talked with Samuel here, and you're interested in starting your business or becoming entrepreneurs and so forth. So what is kind of the bigger takeaway here for that space? So what we often see, and if you go forward, like think about startups, this is what you see with startups, that suddenly it explodes. We get a lot of users. Woo! We are very happy about that. But then we get those users and then they vanish out the door. And then, of course, the question is that, what is the problem? Why does it happen? I think we have a discussion here. So I don't know if you have been in businesses or have your startup, but you perhaps seen in the news this happens quite a lot. Something seems very promising. But what do you think from your standpoint? What is the problem? Why is this falling start? You acquire a lot of users to your solution, and then what is the problem?
So from my understanding, in some cases, some products are too good to be true. So people jump into it, and then it seems like it's not true. So the companies are not delivering to the promise they make, especially in startups or the thing you see in like Kickstarter. They don't deliver the way they should, so it doesn't work. I mean, from my observation at least.
I like that. Does anyone else? Perhaps you've seen this kind of firsthand, this kind of...
For certain kind of softwares or products, there's a venture capital which flows after a certain stage, and when it peaks, user acquisition peaks because lots of thing is offered to the user, and it could be user in various sense. So Uber might be saying that I'm giving you a free ride at this at the moment in Lapland, you can get a ride from Uber for $1 or $2 or euro. And still the driver is also getting 10 to 12 euros because it's, there is some money which is being thrown at it.
It's kind of subsidized.
But that money is over, and then everything will go over.
I really like your answers here. It has to do how sustainable is this user kind of base that you're building?
Yes, and who is or what is driving that? So it could be in some sense organic, which I think is where he was driving at.
Yes.
So the more organic it is, the better it is. And very quickly, there can be a case study coming out of the Indian market for EdTech. There's a very big company called Byju's which has crashed. So a peak valuation of $25 billion, now bankrupt. Because the whole growth was that show numbers, get VC capital, and acquire. Either acquire the user or the competition, but acquire. And there is another thing which is called physics wala, which was very organic. So there was no, acquisition will not be done using the venture money. Venture money, if it is taken, should be used to build the technology, not to build the customer base.
I like that. That I like. That sounds good.
So the first one, from peak valuation of 25 billion, is done. It's over. It's bankrupt and facing litigations. And the second one is slowly now like a unicorn.
Yeah, if I can just continue on your points, because I think they were super good. I think one perspective is that the whole model of kind of developing solutions and scaling them quickly is kind of outdated or broken in a sense. That basically you have to find a critical user base that actually is ready to pay for it. So basically, you have to provide value in a sense, and I think the market is kind of flooded with half good stuff. So basically, I do this blunt stuff again. A lot of solutions are too shitty.
Yeah, true. There needs to be regulatory commissions maintaining that, make sure there are not millions of these things.
Exactly, because just a lot of stuff putting out there, because we all need to do something, right?
Yeah.
We need to do something, and we are smart, and we think we can just do things. But I think more people should work together in these like bigger teams to come up with really something useful, instead of kind of being these small islands that we are kind of solving the same things, and then we are just dividing our user base into these like groups that come and check what you're doing, and then they are out. And then they check, okay, this solution here. So I think basically the unit economics needs to be more sustainable. So this Silicon Valley model, I'm quite critical of it. But I think there has been changes also in the VC space a little bit, that you need to show healthy unit economics of your solution and the fit to the users.
There is some shift that today nobody can raise money to build a new Amazon by saying that next 20 years they're not going to be profitable.
Exactly, yeah.
So revenue models are becoming more and more important, and whenever venture comes, they say, show us the revenue model before you show us anything.
Okay, one thing that Fazle Iqbal from online, less rewarding. Fazle, can you tell us a bit more about less rewarding from your viewpoint, please?
Sorry, where's the question?
Okay. Connecting to your things is thinking as less rewarding.
Okay. So what is less rewarding?
Okay, Fazle, can you explain a little bit more? Okay, maybe he's not being able to tell, but that's okay. Just let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, you can go next. Okay, so when we just talking about sustainability, right? So how does sustainability come in this equation? So if we think about, so let's go back to first principles. Think about the deciles. Do we have on the next slide, maybe? If you think about where does it, and from a user-centric perspective, if you think about, let's say, we have an air, some kind of traffic company or whatever, like an airline. Who, if you could change the behavior or build a solution in a different way, wouldn't it be best to make those changes for those who are using the most? Right? Because shouldn't that kind of omissions or the problems come from those?
That's the first thing that I think of, yeah.
Was it, yeah? Can you continue on that thought? Where, why would it be smart to do it?
Because it's generating the most revenue, so focus on the people who are paying more. That's the first thing.
Exactly, and also you could think that their impact is the largest, right? Because their footprint of the usage is so large. So if you think about the deciles 10 to 6, who gives a shit about it? Them. They are not doing anything with our solution, so they are not, if you do anything with them, it's like greenwashing. Because they are not engaging with our solution, they are not providing anything with us. But if we could partner up with the one decile and say that either or, we can say that if you are part of this, you are being more sustainable, blah, 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 or we can just don't tell them. Just provide them more value in a more sustainable way. Doesn't matter what kind of solution or product it is, but shouldn't that have like an outsized impact? So if we could change something, like say 2% greener usage in top 1 decile, 2%, to be much more than the half of the customer base, right? If we do 20% decrease in some metric or whatever in the bottom 5 deciles, doesn't matter anything. We can maybe use it in media or PR, but not move anything. So I think, and this is now because you know that the classic kind of gap is the, the profit versus being altruistic, this kind of, but maybe if organizations and companies, startups, developers would think more in this way, maybe they could be a little bit easier to align this perspective, sustainability and this profit motive. I don't know. I haven't seen any company doing this yet. I haven't seen any company doing this. And I'm not, because sustainability is not a big topic in the US, like for real, they might talk about it, but I'm not sure any Amazon or Netflix does it either. But what if someone did? Could be nice. What are your views on this sustainability perspective? Because I don't know really what kind of discussions you've been having during this course, but what's your thought on this?
Yeah, well, typically if we think how this course we are running, we are focusing on these SDG 17 goals. So all the systems that the students are coming up with, so it connects these goals of what is telling by the, or it is being presented by the UN, right? So you focus on the energy, or you can think about this climate change and everything, green education. You think about something that you will be using for a long time. At the same time, you make sure everyone is having equal rights and kind of stuff and so on. So I wonder, if you think from my side, researching in the behavioral change and from the user context, I also find the industries are not focusing more on the sustainability side. They're only telling, or they are showing that they are trying to fill the gap, which they are not still doing. So what is happening right now, okay, they're promoting the sustainability SDG 17 goals, but they are not doing in practical task. That's what I have experienced. Now, talking with Niklas has given me this much confidence that I was not wrong.
You were not wrong.
Yes.
At least from my point of view,
yes.
But I don't have all the answers. So.
Yeah, but I see thinking about the sustainability, lesson learned from the environmental change and everything happening, the temperature is rising and all this wastage and everything has happened. The environment is polluted, so how we are progressing on the next generation, the Gen Z and beyond, the other people who will be coming into the art, they are much more careful than, because if you see 50, 100 years ago, people were focusing more on the human basic need. But the new generation are focusing more into these sustainability levels, how they can make their lives focusing more into those. So I would say the company or the industry should focus more about connecting those issues, what is telling in the sustainability, in line with generating their money or the business, whatever they're doing. Also, I would like to add something, because we have been talking about the companies who are making monies and kind of stuff. How about those companies? They are like non-profitable organizations.
Yes.
How do you see those organizations or the business services? They are focusing more not on the money, but then again serving the community. What could be the steps from their side?
Really good question, and I actually worked also with charities. And of course, there are a lot of different actors in this space. So not only charities, but I think if you want to raise funds or really kind of do well in that space, you need to deploy the same stuff as the Netflix and those kind of. So you have your users of your solution. If you can show that you are doing an impact in a robust way, you will, of course, get funding or you get fundraising, you get donors. So if there's, because I see that in this sector, they are not as data savvy as the companies with the for-profit organizations. And oftentimes, if you're a developer or like quantitatively oriented developer or a data engineer or you're a data scientist, you don't typically end up in those organizations or in those working with this charitable kind of way. So actually, we try to work with particularly this group because with baby steps they could do much better. And they could actually be more, so to say, profitable, but from their perspective. So are they reaching out to as many? Can they demonstrate impact? So there's a lot to do in this space, and there's a lot of user-centric, data-driven practices that you can apply this to whatever context. And it doesn't have to be about revenue, it can be about whatever else, usage. So let's say we try to give out vaccines in some developing country. Can we connect what is happening to a social security number or to some personal ID? Can we see what they did after they got this treatment or they got a microfinance loan? Can we kind of show it out and can we predict it so we can get even more funding for our project? All this stuff, this user-centric data-driven way helps you with. So that's my kind of.
I think. So thank you very much, Niklas. So any questions from the audience? We still have 6 minutes left.
Students should ask the question.
Have you worked in any organization or in a company? Yes. Are you sure that? Yes. Okay. And so you were perhaps not in the role of looking at this kind of data, but did you get the feel that someone was doing it?
Yes, because I saw some startups which try to maybe lie about the future.
Okay, yeah. So they make this happy predictions.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
This kind of knowledge can help better than
We actually try to work with private equity also with my company. So we try to kind of like shoot down these predictions of the startups that they are not based in anything. Sometimes it does, but you can actually use this. So let's say we're going to say that we're going to generate these many users. And so then we can predict it out 2-3 years. We need a base, like if you're a startup and you have 1,000 users over 2 years, then we can predict it for 5 years, but with quite good accuracy. So we can actually validate that we did right. Of course, it's just a prediction. Everything. Like I think Nokia's models looked quite well, but then Apple came.
Yeah, like the recent one, like RevSharp.
Yeah.
They have a good 29% of the market outside China for the 5G networks module they're selling.
Yeah.
So even your Apple mobile phone, that if it has a 5G antenna, it's probably developed by Nokia, like the chip at least.
Yeah. So that was a smart pivot, but their phone business was really bad, and all their predictions looked. This is solid stuff, probably, or they didn't. But yeah, but good perspective there.
Yeah, if you can be in the phone business, be in every phone. That was the goal behind them.
It's a good build.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the thing. And okay, I have one question for you, like the people who are attending in person. So now, based on Niklas, what has mentioned about the stakeholders or the key relevant stakeholders, precisely users, what do you think, like when you are developing a solution based on the problem which you have been doing as a part of the course, what do you think, what should be the case in your applications? Because their work is pretty interesting. They're trying to connect individual people.
Okay.
Middle.
Can you tell more about it?
We don't have that much time.
Okay,
so
then don't tell more about it. But
few minutes, but that's okay. 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, I think for the product that we're building, we're not focusing on the profit. So we don't have to focus on the first or second or service. So it's everything. We have to provide the functionality or provide the features so that everybody is satisfied.
Okay.
That's what I think we should focus on.
But you shouldn't do for everyone, right? Because everyone is not going to.
That's what exactly I was telling you guys the last week. Yes.
Who is your decile 1 to 3? And if you can build enough good solutions for them, then that's enough. You don't need everyone.
Okay.
If you try to get everyone, you get bankrupt, or you will end your funding if you're not a for-profit. So who is in your decile 1? Who is there? Who is going to love this actually? Who's actually going to need it? Not only nice to have, but who is going to actually need it? And then what I would do is that, okay, I have a hypothesis that this is the decile 1, these are the people. I would give it a shot trying to get them. Then I would project the user acquisition forward, 2 years forward or 1 year. And if it looks really bad, shut it down, do something else. And not stay there for too long because you will get burnout and you will get, burn a lot of capital. So get the critical mass of the people that you think are in your decile 1, project it out, and then based on that, be bold and shut it down if it doesn't work. But if it seems that you're actually acquiring more of those users, decile 1 users, or 2, or 3, then good. So it's quality over quantity. Do you have really avid users that really want to use it? That's much better than having 10K of users that tried it, right?
Yeah, perfect. Well said. Thank you very much, Niklas. Again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And we're just stopping the recording now. Thanks.